Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast.
I'm here with April, the founder of Trust Relations and the doyen of all things public relations.
And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Hamish, our marketing lead and expert in the space, who I like to call my marketing other half.
We're tackling some of the biggest topics in news and integrated marketing and learning from the mistakes that make headlines or sink brands.
So join us as we have a chat about what works, what doesn't, and what we have to say about all of it. All right, so we have a special guest co-host with us today, Austin Sandmeyer, and he is the Customer Lifecycle Marketing Manager at Sendoso, the leading sending platform that helps companies stand out with new ways to engage customers throughout the buyer's journey. His expertise is in the tech startup space, and he's also a current friend and former colleague of the Trust Relations team. Welcome, Austin.
Thanks. Excited to be here.
So nice to have you.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to chat through all kinds of fun stuff.
We're super excited. So Austin, I want to hear all about your life. What's going on with you? It's been a minute.
Yeah, been a hot minute. It's been
Where are
super
you
wild.
living? What are you doing?
Yeah, so last time we chatted, great. It's great all across the board there. But last time we chatted, I was at Beekeeper in like San Francisco Bay Area. Loved it.
Yes.
Then COVID hit, we decided to build a house in Utah. So we started building a house here in beautiful Salt Lake City. During the build process, we moved all over the place. We were in Florida and New York and we bounced around. Then our house finally got finished and I got to settle into Salt Lake City. And from Beekeeper, I went into the fintech world, did some fintech stuff, did some marketing there for a very small startup. And then went into Sendoso, which I was a previous customer of. Actually, I brought on Sendoso at Beekeeper back in the day. Now I'm over here at Sendoso helping, develop customer lifecycle. And that's my passion. I freaking love customers. I think they're the best. Yeah, we'll get into it, but I'm having a great time here. We're in a new house, beautiful Salt Lake City. Really can't complain. I'm getting used to this, time zone world and all this fun stuff.
I love it. Have you been up to Snowbird yet?
Yes, a couple times. And it's been a crazy skiing winter. Are you a big hiker? Have you been hiking there?
Yeah, so we go every summer, and my parents have a timeshare there, and I'm obsessed with Snowbird. So as soon as you're in Salt Lake City, I'm like, oh, Salt Lake City. I don't know if I could do the winters there, but the summers, if I could summer in Salt Lake City, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we're a big fan of it.
I love it. Okay, awesome. Well, I got a little bit off on a tangent there. So what we're actually here to discuss today is marketing. So our first segment of the day is marketing basics. And today, Austin and I are going to discuss how marketing needs to shift against the backdrop of today's economic landscape. So, for example, are luxury goods still in the same place that they were, given where people are getting a little bit worried about the economy, a recession, et cetera? Does that mean you have to pivot if you're a luxury brand company and do something a little bit different across the board, right? This is going to be true. Are you a bare essential? Or are you not?
Yeah, fully. I fully agree. And I think just across the board, everybody's kind of thinking about, do you offer lower products? Do you do a product extension? Do you change price points? Are you actually shrinkflation where you're actually, selling the same dollar amount, but you're actually making the product smaller? We've seen that a lot. I mean, across the board, it seems.
Yeah. Are you seeing brands and consumers alike start to get worried, or is it kind of in and out? I feel like it's sort of both, but neither.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see any directional movement on either degree. It's they're a little worried, but nobody's blown out yet. It still seems like everything's going forward, but it's just that thing I bought, a while ago, I wish wasn't the price it is or whatever. Little small things I feel like you might notice over time. I mean, eggs, I guess. Everybody noticed eggs for a while.
Eggs got crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, those chicken farmers, they were making the money, but yeah, that was crazy.
I think that was a supply chain related thing too, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was bonkers. So with that, Austin, do you have advice for people that are up against this about what are some of the considerations we should be taking into account when we're coming up with a marketing strategy for Q3 and beyond, based on the state of the world being this sort of flux, I think is the nicest way to put it.
The main thoughts that I think about when I'm thinking about the future and just the changes that are going on, and I obviously have a bias towards customers, but like really understanding what your customers are doing,
Mhm.
how, that product, how did that relationship matter? In SaaS world, like your customer is the easiest next dollar. You know that person so much better than you don't know Jim Joe down the road that you pass on the street. Like, you know nothing about that person. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully a lot about your customer. You at least know if they're using your product, and you know other things about them, hopefully, especially if you're doing SaaS. You have a customer education team. You might have like a customer success person that knows the colleague, or like an account rep. They have, intrinsic information as it relates to that. Coming back into the next couple quarters is really thinking about, with your customers, one, how do you ensure that they're not churning, you're not losing them, and ensuring that you're actually providing the value that they want, which is something that you should be doing from day one, but many companies miss the boat on. And then ensuring also that you have a plan to ensure that they can see more value from your product or from your item or from your service.
Yeah.
I think that's the audience I'm focusing on in the next couple of quarters. I think many companies are, because those are the people you know the most about. And, there's hundreds of stats out there that are like, it's cheaper to, make $1 off of your customer versus go and create a new customer and get a new customer.
Yeah, acquisition is always more expensive
Exactly. Yeah.
by a lot.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Significant
Mhm.
numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think for me on the strategic communication side, it's just making sure nobody's being tone deaf to where
Yeah.
people are even moment to moment, because I think things are changing so rapidly. If people are really focused on bigger issues in the world and you're coming in hot with something really trivial and silly and goofy, that could either really work because they need a distraction, but you have to
Yeah.
have a whole campaign built around it, or you look like you're just kind of, you know,
Yeah. Completely
obliv-
tone deaf. Don't know what you're
completely
doing.
completely
Like,
oblivious to what's happening in the rest of the world.
I like can't remember any off the top of my head, but I feel like there's been multiple like recent blowbacks of companies that didn't think before they said or did something. I know that in the luxury world, it happens a lot more often, because anytime you market a luxury item in today's world, it's like, okay, who's going to buy this?
Right. Who's
Yeah,
flying to the moon today?
exactly. Yeah, nobody's flying there today. They're working on the small things.
Exactly. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Before moving on, anything else you want to add to that about, what people should be considering?
Yeah.
Just
I
the
mean, I
market
think,
shifts and
yeah, when it
how to
comes back to
navigate them.
those market shifts, like this comes all the way back to VC land of like
Yeah.
where VCs invest money. And VCs historically have always invested money in new CRMs, new, digital ad platforms, new social media platforms that can get new ads into people's faces, like a bunch of ways to get new people. There's very little investments into the customer relationship. And I think like
Yeah.
we've started to see that change over the past like 6 months. The customer relationship has mattered more and more, and especially over the past year, and it will continue in the future. Investing in understanding your customer is going to be critical in every manner of the second, because like you don't want to lose the customer you have in today's already tagged world.
So what are some of the best ways to get to know your customer if people are
Yeah.
listening to this and feel like, oh, maybe I'm not doing as good of a job at that as I could be?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways. It really depends on the audience that you're kind of looking at. For like, I'm going to speak to B2B SaaS, and I can also speak a little bit to B2B com. But like when it comes to B2B, it's typically having a lot of conversations. Classic answer is qualitative and quantitative. Mix them
Yeah.
together and have an understanding. So you can be doing surveys in your app. You could be sending out email notifications. We just sent out an email today to a bunch of our customers, understanding their value, where they're getting education, kind of that type of world of how they like
Mm.
to learn new things. Learning what your customers are doing or how they're using your platform, that is asking them. You can also look at your product. If you have a product, or if you have sales, or like you can understand demographics, you can look at what they're actually doing. What are the actual actions they're taking? Are they doing more sends, or are they doing less sends, or are they buying less? Looking at the actual data that's going on. This is art, not 100% of a science. So taking,
Yeah.
those quantitative metrics, using that data that you have in the platform, and then, getting the qualitative conversations. If you have a customer success team, if you have customer teams that are having conversations, likely some are recorded on like SaaS World is Gong, and a bunch of other tools that record conversations, listening to them, understanding them, compiling all that information together. Otherwise, just
Yeah.
having one-on-one conversations with customers, asking if they have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can give them a gift card, a Starbucks gift card, to everybody's tight. So like it can maybe help them. It'll help you understand what they're doing, what they're going through, how they think about buying your platform, how they think about using your tool, your product, whatever. Those are some of the key areas we're investing in. As I
Yeah.
said, we just sent out a survey today. We have stuff in app. I'm looking at data that's going on. I have a ton of calls that I record and listen to and understand. And these are the macro trends that you can see inside of your, customer base. Those are the ways that I kind of think about really understanding them and kind of consolidating that
Super
information.
helpful. Super helpful. I love it. I love how
Good.
passionate you are about this.
Customers over the past years have just been not really treated that well. I mean, if we think back to the cable subscription world, you buy a cable, good luck, you're never going to get a discount from them ever again unless you quit and go to the next company. Same way with like cell phone providers and, that whole world, like that icky relationship with the customer hasn't really been flipped lately. It's starting to be flipped. I think it's super crucial to be flipped because obviously, like I said, where your best dollar is going to be. And like, you don't want your customers to be upset with you. Like that sounds horrible. I'm like, you don't want that. And I think that's kind of the big areas of opportunities for all things. Like I think there's a great opportunity for some tech platforms to figure out how to really understand customers and how to provide that data back to consumers and back to the owners and back to the properties or back to the whatevers companies and use that information to better understand going forward their marketing, their comm strategy. It all comes down to, understanding and segmenting, doing the best that you can with the information you have. And if you have no information on your customers because you're not looking at them ever, you're not going to be saying the best things.
Yeah. For me, it's so interesting that you're talking about that because I feel like it's been the same with how companies are treating people, right? And their employees and also the customers. And I think that there's been this weird long legacy of, okay, companies are just there to make money and it doesn't matter whether customers are really that happy or whether employees are treated well. It's all in service of the company. I feel like that's so outdated to me now. It's still happening, but somehow why do we still have these dinosaurs wandering around the earth, right? Like, what is this?
Right?
That's how it feels to me. Where are the companies that are actually in it to win it for their customer? I mean, isn't the whole purpose of a company to serve the customer?
Yeah.
Then
And like
and
give
the
them
employees
value.
and serve the employees as a leader, so the employees then serve the customer, right? Like
Exactly.
it's all about service of the people you're serving who are then paying for your service. Like what? How did that get lost somewhere in
I don't know, but it's clearly been lost by
capitalism?
many people. Yeah.
Yeah, like everywhere almost, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I love it. I feel like we're like two sides of the same coin because
Yeah,
I'm
for
always
sure.
focused on, I mean, the employee part of it is really what sparks trust relations, even though the customer part is important too. But the customers, I think in PR get pretty good service, regardless of how toxic the culture is at the agency, right? So,
Yeah.
but I still make an argument that we're providing better customer service because you don't have any of that awkward kind of turnover every 3 months, that happens in those toxic agencies,
Oh
right?
my gosh, all the time.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? Why are you on our call today? Like,
Yeah.
who's leading the biweekly call now? Who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
So we never have that, so unless there's just, somebody has like a personal emergency or whatever, but it's not because of the churn and burn.
Oh no. Yeah. I mean,
culture or
in
whatever.
my life, I've used so many different agencies and so many times it's been, this is a new person I've never met, but the agenda
Here they
is still
are.
the same, I guess. Here we go. Yeah.
It's pretty normal. It's pretty sad too. Okay, on that sort of sad note, we can move on to our second segment of the day, which is campaign essentials. And in this segment, we're going to be sharing some tips and best practices that every brand leader should know based on the article that we're going to be discussing, which is today, how to pull off a successful brand collaboration.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So there's an article where executives from brands and agencies alike, from everything from Doritos and Magnolia Bakery to Digitas, have shared their secret sauce for collaborations, which I'm personally fascinated by because I know we've done a lot of chatting through some of these that don't work. More often than not, I feel like we chat about the ones that don't work.
There's a lot out there, so.
Like Doritos and Taco Bell, they say that one works. Okay, that one makes sense. Yes, right?
Yeah.
But we've even talked on the show about Hidden Valley Ranch and Crocs. Like, why? Why is this happening? Hidden Valley Ranch and Van Leeuwen. Is that how you pronounce that? The ice cream?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
What?
wild.
Why would you do that? I think there was one. I think it was like Fruity Pebbles and LeBron James or something. Also, there's Van Leeuwen and Kraft mac and cheese. Like
Okay. I mean, like, I don't know if
that
that
one. That
works, but
one.
I would be interested to try mac and cheese ice cream.
That could be interesting. That could
Have
be
you ever
interesting.
have you ever heard of the YouTube Good Mythical Morning? Uh,
No,
this is like a whole YouTube channel that they've been doing it for
really.
hundreds of years, and it's like they make all these crazy concoctions like that. Like they probably have made mac and cheese ice cream, and they do like all these weird taste tests and stuff. And so they probably have. It's there. I'm always intrigued. I watch them.
That's so fascinating. Yes. So I was right. It was Fruity Pebbles and LeBron James. So I had that right. And
What?
then there was also USPS one and Adidas, which doesn't sound like it would work, but totally worked. So Adidas did like really cool USPS inspired sweatshirts and like
Okay,
sneakers
yeah,
and stuff and
like
made
cool
it kind of,
streetwear.
yeah, and made it like
Yeah,
this urban
I like that.
vibe. Yeah,
It's
it
like I
works.
mean, it's you see it around if you're a Costco goer like me, you see the Kirkland brand. Like people wear like the sweatshirt that's just Kirkland, like that's just brand rep, and it's like a streetwear food. It's not a partnership, but like it brings like that streetwear vibe, which I could
Yeah,
definitely see in the Adidas
yeah.
USPS.
So
That's
they
interesting.
so they pulled it off, which I thought was really interesting. But what I'm curious about, Austin, do you have any initial thoughts on when does a brand collaboration work and when does it just no?
I think that there's like a very wide range of how brand collaborations work. And I think there's ones that like fit really well together and they're
Yeah,
over here. And then there's ones that don't fit what are you doing, but they work. And I would
yeah,
say that there's like this middle ground that most of them fall into, which is what are you doing, but you're wrong. And then like, okay, these are like not right. Like it's fine, but like nothing's really special here. And like I think a lot fall into the nothing really special land. So like I
yeah,
think there's really two extremes, and this extreme of like you are weirdly don't understand why these two would go together. Like that's a very small one, and people try to put theirs in there all the time. Like they're like,
yeah,
I'll put my brand and this crazy random brand out here that makes no sense into that, but like they don't think about it enough to understand when you pick those crazy random things it needs to be so obscure that like people enjoy it. People enjoy it means people need to enjoy it in the middle of Iowa or like wherever your customer base is. It's not like the people
yeah,
in the companies enjoy it. That's what I think a lot of that falls into is like people that were making these collabs thought it was cool because they work at the company and they're doing a collab with this other thing. And
yeah,
like, but it doesn't resonate.
yeah. Yeah, to me, it feels like when there's obvious overlap of their target audience,
Yep.
then I can
Oh yeah.
see it, right? It's like, okay, cool, that makes sense to me. But when it feels like, okay, why is luxury brand pairing with, you know,
Mayonnaise.
yeah,
Yeah, like crazy random weird things that would
like I
not be a
don't
staple.
quite understand it, right? Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, and then there's some interesting quotes in this article. I don't know if you had a chance to digest this at all, but there was one from Frito-Lay and it says Frito-Lay isn't interested in partnering for the sake of partnering or borrowing brand equity from another brand. They are focused on unlocking a new experience that it couldn't offer on its own. So they gave the
Hmm,
example of when they partnered with Skull Candy and they offered this limited edition gaming headphones to their fans, many of whom are gamers,
interesting.
which
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Like I
that
wouldn't have
makes
thought
sense.
of, okay, Skull Candy, they go to gamers, Frito, of course you're eating Frito-Lays while you're gaming. Like what else
Yeah.
are you eating? So that'll make sense. And yeah, apparently they teamed up for season 4 of Stranger Things and then they did this live stream concert.
Love that. You know,
So
actually, like
that's pretty cool.
in that same type of vein, I was just as you were thinking of partnerships, I was like, the one that I don't ever see, which should be everywhere in my eyes, is popcorn. Like popcorn brands have so many entertainment options to partner and collab with. Like I would think
Yeah.
everybody eats popcorn and like they do sporting events, they're everywhere. If you wanted to really do a cool brand collab, I feel like popcorn has this amazing ability to be in many different, do a lot of different cool brand collabs.
Yeah, I love that. That makes
Huh.
me wanna go work for a
I
popcorn
know.
brand so
I
I
know,
can
right?
go. What, let's put that on the new biz
Yeah.
channel as
Let's
something we
put it
have to
over there.
figure out. Yeah, exactly. So awesome. I'm trying to think if
Oh,
there are any
Athletic
other.
Brewing Company was in this article too. They're a non-alcoholic craft beer company. Big fan of the NA movement. I love Athletic Brewing. And there's a few others that I'm a big fan of. But they made a pre-workout brew with super coffee. So they made like a bottled coffee brand.
So cool.
And like that makes sense to me. Athletic Brewing is this athletic, non-alcoholic demographic, and coffee, them working out, that makes sense. And I think like that's a really cool one too.
Yeah, that's super cool. They also had the example in here, Doritos and Stranger Things, because they're both
Mm,
rooted in that nostalgia with strong ties to the 80s, right?
yeah.
So I think, stuff like that really hits home and works well, I think. Sometimes I wonder if the weird ones, is that happening because the brand's executives just know each other and get together and like
It's got to. Like, I
like
don't understand.
get high and decide like this is gonna be amazing, and then somehow it's
Yeah.
still amazing from the night where it made sense, and then like I'm
They're
always,
probably
how
just
did
tweeting
this
each other or down in the
happen?
DMs. It must be. Like, that's what I envision too, social media marketers, going between each other, and that's just how it happens.
Yeah, I'm always like, how did we get here? I wanna
Yeah,
be
that's
on that
crazy.
journey. Like, sometimes I just wanna know where it got off track.
Further on in the article, there was one quote from Little Spoon. I am not familiar with Little Spoon, but it says it's an organic baby food company. They did collabs with Andy Swim, Compartas Chocolates, and Bonza. And I'm so intrigued by that.
You
So
feed
Little
chocolate to babies?
Yeah, yeah. And then like Bonza is a gluten-free chickpea pasta. What do you just put in like gluten-free chickpeas in it? That like I understand the word collab is being used there, but that seems like just a product. Instead of our own noodles, we're gonna put Bonza noodles in it. And I get it, but I don't like, especially with Bonza. The other ones I have no idea what Andy Swim is. What is
Yeah,
Andy Swim? Is it a
I don't know that either.
is it a swimwear company? Because that's what I'm guessing, but I don't
Here,
think
let's
so.
look. Let's look. Andy, I
It is a
mean,
swimwear company.
is
Swimwear
it?
for women by women.
That's interesting.
So a baby food manufacturer. I mean, okay, I guess I understand the jump there. Don't know if I would buy it, but I clearly am not the one that's going to be buying it.
Yeah, you're not the audience.
No.
I also love that the VP of PR at Magnolia Bakery, Sarah Gramling, said
Yeah.
that basically just have to get comfortable saying no.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be, I feel like.
She's been approached by all these different companies, and that's probably part of it too, right? You get approached and it's like, okay,
But
I'm
yeah,
flattered, let's do it.
it
But
was
they
hard.
they did a recent collaboration with the luggage brand Monos,
Huh.
and apparently they got 45 media stories and about 350% spike in traffic on their social channels the day it went out.
Wow. Wow.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, that's good.
So they did it right.
Yeah, they figured it out. Well, they said no enough times
They
to
said
be
no
like, this
enough.
is, they know what they're going for. Like they have an
Yeah.
understanding of like what they actually want in this world.
Yeah,
Where I think
yeah,
like I mean, this also happens when you get bigger companies that are a lot of people that, make a lot of group decisions, sometimes nobody wants to say no,
for
especially
sure.
if, someone says yes, the
Yeah,
VP says yes or whatever.
for sure. Okay, cool. Well, anything else to add before we wrap and say au revoir?
No, I mean, I think around the segment, I just think there's so many crazy ways to do partnerships. And it comes back to what you mentioned about the same type of customers. Knowing what that looks like matters the most.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, knowing your audience,
Yeah,
knowing your customers. We bring it back full circle.
full circle.
Austin for the win. He shoots, he scores.
Woo!
Okay, cool. Well, with that, I just want to thank our listeners for joining us today. I also want to thank Austin for being our guest co-host. He was amazing.
Thank you.
And remember, you can catch our show wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. If you subscribe, rate, and share the show, it will keep this content coming your way and grow this community of communicators. Thank you for being along for the ride as we build trust relations into the agency of the future and beyond. And goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.
See ya.